markets, analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip the matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing.
What is going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon. Bitcoin at new all-time highs. What a beautiful morning being here with all of you this morning. That was special. Every day is uniquely special. What's happening here together is uniquely special. It is extraordinary, and it is my honor and pleasure to do this with all of you. Looking at Bitcoin trading $63,000 this morning, new all-time highs. Nice work to everybody in navigating this past couple of months of consolidation here on Bitcoin. Really, really outstanding work. And that's why today I get to have a little fun. Every once in a while, right, we get to have a little bit of fun, and it's nice. It's really nice. I want you to focus in on over here. This is the halving, right? And now we're about what? We're almost 1 year since the halving, a little less. Bitcoin is up, I don't know, let's call it 7.5x, but it came in around 8,500, now trading at 63,000. I want you to focus on this time period of 1 year over here as you look at the last cycle when Bitcoin kind of went from 645 towards 3,000 in the same amount of time frame. What I want you to watch next is when I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the chart over to the left. By the way, yesterday's stream, for whatever reason, we really had the flow to it. It was a really solid, good session. That's great. Really grateful for it. I had spent the night before, basically, suffering. I didn't get any sleep. I had a fever. I woke up that morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then we went live, and, I didn't have any expectations. I just wanted to check in with all of you. I had taken 2 children's Tylenol at that point. It didn't really do anything. I spent yesterday really, in bed with a fever, sleeping a lot, really just, not good. And either which way, I had gotten a test, and that came back negative. But nevertheless, I'm coming. I just want you to know that you're talking to someone who's been running a fever for the last 36 hours and in bed sick. So, let's take it as it comes and just enjoy this moment today. Not expecting too much. That's all. Wife is, on the mends, still running a fever all day yesterday. Let's hope that she has it better today. Thank you for all of your sincere well wishes for my wife. I really am grateful for that. Thank you. You all are just absolutely beautiful people. What I want you to focus in on is what happened after this 1 year of time over here. Okay, this is what Bitcoin did next. We're coming into the phase, the next 5 or 6 months or so, where we're just going to see a massive move on Bitcoin. It's something that we've been setting up, and I'm setting it up for you right now. If you're wondering on whether or not, or you feel like you missed it, in my opinion, not financial advice, it's still way early on this cycle, and most of the gains are still to be had over here. A large part of them. Excuse me. Let's take a look at Brad's chart for a second. I got a lot I want to talk about, so hopefully my voice stays with us, all right? So this is almost like a cheat sheet, don't you think, over here? As you're looking at Brad's little artwork at this channel that Bitcoin is trading out of. We've now broken above the resistance. You can see the support, the move into the resistance, consolidation underneath the resistance. We have now broken up. Some of you may be focused on what's like going on in front of you, like putting a small channel in this area. At this point, maybe even come back to the 3-day for a second just to get a little bit of perspective as we break to new all-time highs. We're just coming off of 1, 2 moves that really weren't much after a pullback. Is that what is going to happen? Or are we looking more at the melt your face off move? A pretty strong move taking us, I don't know. We'll see as we get there. But I'm towards the later. You all know that. It looks like now as we make the new all-time highs that the shakeout is less out of play. Nevertheless, the only reason we got where we are today is by always watching where our risk is and being risk adverse. So we'll continue to do that. We just don't need it to do. Everything's on autopilot today. You get to enjoy that, and that's nice. Could you go ahead and smash the like button though? Could you go ahead and smash the like button, get us going? Google keeps taking them away. That's all good, well and fine. Thank you all. Milk, honey, garlic. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So today we get to enjoy. Let's take a look. We got a lot to discuss. Before we do that. This kind of keeps us where we need to be. This was at the end of January, and we calculated 100,000 Bitcoin before the end of June, right? We're getting close. We're just a few months away now. That's where we want to be, to have another little checkpoint that everything continues to play out exactly as we foresaw and have been planning for. If that happens, wow, we have a significant amount of price possible appreciation from there. We'll be checking that out together. What else do we want to look at over here? This is from Will. He was looking at the Hang Seng last night, and he says it appears to be resuming out of a broken channel. You can see this over here. I want to talk to you about this for a couple of different reasons. It looks like what's going on silver right now, similar. I want to talk about entries over here, and I want to talk about, let me go over to real time over you. Let me pull up a chart over here. Thank you, everyone, for your beautiful, beautiful, beautiful well wishes. My wife takes good care of me, thank God, even when she's sick. She's a saint. I'm grateful for it. Definitely, spent the whole day, in bed. Definitely doing what I can not to do anything. I was running a fever, taking Tylenol, and I got the adult stuff later in the day, though. That worked out a little better, and here we are right now. So this is the Hang Seng. This is what Will is looking at. You can see the breakout over here, right? Coming in for the retest, never holds the support, but then bounces back above the trend line, right? Bounces back above the trend line. It comes in for a nice retest and giving an entry over here. The question is do you need to do this? This is for Will over here and for everyone watching, because whether or not you trade the Hang Seng, one of my favorite instruments to trade, by the way, over 20 years ago, trading the E-mini futures over here. What a market. My favorite of all time. Okay, either which way. Do you clone this over here now, Will? Right? And is that the resistance you're waiting for? If you didn't do that, if you're already in the trade though, right? You got to look at where you're placing your stop loss. If this is the first entry that you took over there as price made a higher high, right? Or if you were able to take maybe this one over here, either which way, your stop loss needs to be below the last swing low at least, right? You're still in the trade. Is that a good trade, or is the better trade going ahead and putting out the outer resistance over there? One touch is how you do TA and wait for the breakout over there. You could see that playing on Ethereum. Let me come over to Ethereum, and you can see over here, this is what we did. By the way, this upper line was put off on the one touch. We're just now looking at what's happening, and you can see the breakout, right? Never resumed off, came back in. Once you had this one, you had a clear indication of the outer trend line, right? And then you have the breakout above, came in for the retest. What about silver? Silver is also something that was giving a nice fine example over here. We talked about the original aggressive entry being right over here as price came into the resistance and backed off and then made the higher high. I said that's an anomaly. That's not an entry that we often take or take, right? And if you took this trade, where's your stop loss? It has to be at least below the closest swing low, if not lower, right? So still into that trade, whether you took this entry over here, right? But then you had the breakout, and then here you have you're looking for the retest. You never make a higher high. You never make a higher high into right here. That's the resumption off. That also is a good entry. Both of them seem to be in the midst of perhaps breaking above to a new swing high over here. Gold also, let's take a look over here, and gold is coming back into the resistance. Gold broke back into our little channel over here. It's not a channel. I don't know what to call this, because my angles and my lines, which normally are very symmetrical, they are symmetrical. In this case are not. It's different, right? But instead of trying to impose my will on the market, I'm just following what the market does. It's kind of what I do, right? So you can see the break back into the channel, right? Should that resistance be up here? Look where we peaked out. We peaked out again over here. This area is support. It makes a lot more sense. So let's move that up over there just so we get right over here. And you can see actually the move back into the broken channel support. I'm sorry, what was resistance. Now holding as support and price trying to resume up. It still needs not only to get above this last touch over here, the 1760, but it really needs to get above this level for gold to actually be making any type of move that could carry momentum with it. We'll see, and we'll continue to track it. As we're talking about gold, let me see what's going on over here, the 10-year, and it continues to consolidate after that broken resistance now turned to support. The DXY, let's take a look over here. It's almost unchanged on the day. You can see that in this little area over here. It's trying to see if it's firming up for support. It has to be a breakout of this trend line for us to look for that. Let's say a retest of this high and then a strengthening dollar. Is that all possible as we're looking at the US continuing to print, right? What's going on? I wanted to answer that, but I'm not gonna. Sorry, I'm playing handicapped over here. I'll come back to that in 1 second, but segueing over to the dollar, Dave shared this, right? This was what was going on in my head right now as I was talking. I'll come back to what I was talking about in 1 second. Dave is talking this out in the macro channel, and he's saying, can anyone look, anybody could look at the current U.S. debt, the country who essentially owns the global currency, reserve currency. It seems pretty certain to him, even before the U.S. government released trillions and trillions of stimulus, that things are going to crumble economically for them at some point. It'll go on until it doesn't go on anymore. It looks like they're trying to devalue the dollar here. And I believe the current U.S. government administration, along with many other world powers, together, the race to the bottom, are going to intentionally crash the dollar, the DXY, he puts it, the dollar, for the purpose of ripping the Band-Aid off and getting to decide what the new system looks like, why they, the U.S., are still in power. And it will be, we've been talking about Janet Yellen signaling to her friends, right? She's getting ready here for a new Bretton Woods system reset, right? What Dave is pointing out over here, it seems like it's a bit coordinated. We saw China now launching their digital yuan, getting ahead of the curve over here. We've talked about for a long time, whoever owns the gold is going to get a seat at the table. We've been seeing Russia accumulating gold for years and years and years. China also, right? Germany taking back their gold. It looks like we're watching this play out. Dave is making a point of it that he's observing it over here. Comes over to here. So he says, so if the DXY crashes, he's going to bring this to real estate now. And we're back at my original question about the housing market will do now hyperinflated market, right? He's saying, what happens if the dollar crashes, if we go into some type of hyperinflationary event? What is going to happen to the price of real estates? We've seen hyperinflation and market crashes before, but it seems like this time could, he's just talking it out, be different, because if the above theory is correct, everything will change. We don't know exactly how. Liquidity of assets seems important in the landscape. He just made the big case for Bitcoin over every other asset. Liquidity of assets. Yeah, it's only a $1 trillion market cap, but anyone looking to market sell anything under 10,000 Bitcoin is really going to have no problem. It's a pretty liquid asset, and it continues to grow and grow and grow. Now, of course, you have things like treasuries, which is the world's most liquid asset, but we're talking about here losing faith in the dollar, right? I believe the Canadian housing market specifically could be extra damaged by the DXY collapse. So this also goes then for the Australian and the New Zealand, because it was already clearly overextended given the current economic landscape. What happens to real estate if the dollar goes hyperinflationary, right? Do prices just go bid till they're unreasonable and then crash down to nothing? Oh, what are your thoughts? If anyone wants to continue this conversation below in the comments, or better yet, on the macro channel with Dave, so I could watch, that would be totally cool. This is Robin with some beautiful meme play. What is it? What did I used to say? Meme? People got really upset. Meme? With some awesome meme play over here, right? You can see, gentlemen, it's been a privilege and an honor. The perfect GIF in response to Jordan's tweet today about the Fed keeping the music going for as long as possible into the next monetary system, Titanic, but not before this current system does this. Anyway, what he's setting up over here and what Dave is talking about and what we all see over here is we see the central banks running out of the possibility, it seems, to play the music. The question everyone seems to be looking towards is whether or not even this cycle, super cycle, we're going towards a hyperinflationary event. Obviously, I'm watching. Obviously, I do not think so, or even close to it. Actually, let's look at what the Fed's doing and what's going to happen next. Over here, yesterday, we had the Fed's Bullard making the comment that as the vaccine rate approaches 75% in the U.S., right? So that's roughly 250 million vaccinations, right? 2 doses per people. We're nearly 40% of the way there right now. You can see the chart. We're expected to be there around when? September. This is looking at around, what is that? 6 million. 6 million. I'm totally off over here. I don't know what that is over here. Apologies for that. I'm definitely off my game. But we need to hit 500 million doses, and we're expected to be there sometime around August. August is when the Fed will be meeting at the Jackson Hole Symposium. Are they going to be talking about perhaps tapering, right? Is this the greatest risk right here to Bitcoin's bull market phase over here as the Fed will begin possibly? Now, we can't reach those type of vaccination numbers. There are, I think, 30 30% of the people in the US said that they will absolutely never get the vaccination. So I don't think that we could ever reach this number, but that's not really the point. The point is that as we see, and if we see continued decline in the virus, that's going to help the economy. The Fed is going to have to then be signaling a taper. What that taper is, that's the question. If it's just, in their mind, calling it a taper, raising interest rates, right? That's really going to be healthy for the market overall. And we'll continue to see a lot more of what we're seeing, in my opinion, right? But if the Fed talks about taking away any of their monthly security purchase from the $1.4 trillion they're doing right now, that at that point, we might see actually some type of taper tantrum in the market. That's something to really watch out for. This is over the summer, right? Bitcoin's going to continue to do what Bitcoin does. But is it possible, if the Fed does talk about tightening, right? And by the way, when the 10-year rises over here, if you look at the price of Bitcoin with it, Bitcoin seems to be, I don't think it's tracking the 10-year. If you look at the two together, it certainly looks like it's tracking the 10-year. Interesting, right? But I think Bitcoin is being Bitcoin. And I think you're also seeing the 10-year has been rising steeply also. So bringing that back all to over here, this is a risk event, right? If they raise rates, and that's all they're looking to do, or talking about raising rates in the following year, that's going to be really good for Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin peaks around the time when the market's discussing this, this is what will be blamed for the market top. Something is going to be blamed for the market top, whatever it is, just like in the last bull market cycle when we looked at the CME actually launching their futures markets. Imagine thinking that the CME could have any type of control over Bitcoin. Either which way, where does that trade? 5 days a week? Let's take a look over here, see what else we got going over here. There was a video that was posted on Real Vision. And it was, Dan posted it. He said, listen, Ian posted it. He says, seems like Raul is finally coming around to what you've been saying since the beginning. This is like a 1-minute clip. I just want you to hear it over here. Let's go ahead.
I think that what it's telling us is any expansion of the Fed balance sheet is a devaluation of fiat currency. It's not the mechanism that most people thought, that Fed printing equals more money leaking out of banks into the markets, because volumes don't show that. What it's actually showing is the denominators going down. And so therefore, once you adjust for that, these markets, I think, have a lot further they can run, because we're only going to see more balance sheet expansion from these fiscal policies if bond yields go up too much.
So Raul is like, a year later, right? We have over here, by the way. My only question is, what took him so long? A year later, he's like, oh, the markets are tracking the Fed's balance sheet, regardless if it makes sense or not, they're going up, and it looks like they're going to continue to go up. He sounds like, and watch this video. Let me go ahead and provide the link for you. It starts at like 7 or 8 minutes in. The link's over here in the description. The mods could post it too if you get the opportunity a little bit later, right? Press your head up against your screen. Oh, you couldn't hear it. Sorry. I got you the link over here. It's not important that you hear it right now. What he's basically saying is, oh yeah, a year later, I could see now that there's so much liquidity and the markets are basically just tracking the Fed's balance sheet. And he's like, and no one really saw that, and I figured that out right now. And yeah, are you kidding? Watch the video. It's absolutely, I know some people like it, but be very careful, right? Consult those who have a history of being right, not on the wrong side of the market, and for so long. Raul talks about in this interview that basically his experience was working for some investment banks and basically selling products to each other. He was a salesman selling product to other investment bankers with, like, basically, as he calls it, fake money, their own money just changing hands with inside. Great. He's good at that. No question about that. Did he get Bitcoin right? Of course, but it's very dangerous. It's not only him. I want you to watch this video. It was the guy wearing the hat, right? The paper hat. It was every other deflationist that we had this back a year ago. This, like, it wasn't even a discussion because they wouldn't hear it, and because it wasn't even a discussion. I wish it could have been a discussion. I wish at that point, anyway, that really gets me. Watch that video over there. Really important stuff. What's going on? So, Bitcoin, $62,750. I think that's all I have in me, but I'm going to go ahead and see what's going on with you guys and take a look at some other markets really quick together. I'll start with the S&P 500, new all-time high. That's, also that 4,100 target we put out last April. You can watch the videos. It's funny. It's beautiful. It is what's happening. Nasdaq is just close. It was only a matter of time to making that new all-time high. Is that a double top on the market? Jordan, are you prepared to call the bottom low in the next? No, I'm not, John. I did a video, I don't know if it was last week, explaining why I'm not. I don't really think that's that important. I think that we're trading under the bear market low right now. I think it's close. I think it's probably going to be closer to around, I don't know, $70,000 or so. But this is more important to focus in on right now, before the end of June. And I like putting things out there. That was 6 months in advance that are going to be reached. And as long as we hit $100,000 by the end of June, I think we're completely on track to see numbers we don't even need to talk about because they're so crazy. They're so crazy high that we don't even really need to talk about it right now. No sound. Yasin, you can't hear me. I think it's coming from your end over there. Yeah, I mean, this is when you should be watching and waiting for consolidation now, right? This is not something that, or be taking profits, right? But this has just had a massive move to the upside. Obviously, you want to be preemptive of momentum and not trading it. Let's take a look at the Euro-US dollar. I see that the DXY itself, right, into an area of possible support. You could see this last bit of support that happened in February the 4th. A little above that, though. That's where then we became resistance. That's a little bit above us right now. That would be bigger resistance. It's kind of sideways, though, right? You can see the breakout has not really gone anywhere. And when I say breakout, this is when we were tracking that stronger euro. How is it to everything else? Listen, the honest truth is I just don't have it in me right now. I'm sweating, probably running a fever, and I expected I could go further, but I just don't have it in me, and I apologize. I'm gonna call it a session. I wish I could hang out further with you, but I need to get back into bed, and it just is what it is. So let's go out with some honeymoon vocals or regular instrumental I have right over here, and play that. There we go.
markets, analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip the matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing. The markets are not crashing, the prices might be slashing just to pretend they're in fashion. Hit the like button, comments, and smash it. Boom, boom, Jordan in the room. Grab the bull by the horns and to the moon. Flow from the plateau, make the play. Boom, boom, it's a taco day.
It's a taco day. It's a taco day.
Ah, that was an epic Jordan rant for those who missed it. That was classic Jordan over there. I said, listen, we showed up. We gave it everything we had. That's who we are and what we do, and that's that. So thank you all for spending this time with me. Thank you for sharing in this extraordinarily special moment in time that we do together. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for all the well wishes, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.